Hey y'all, welcome to Adventures with Aggie, brought to you by the Ryan Martin Foundation. Today we have an episode of our series featuring the United States Power Soccer Association, the Us Psa. We have Natalie Russo on the show today. She's a player, she's been playing power soccer for years, and she also works for the team. She's going to tell us all about her story in power soccer and how much this sport means to her. Please welcome Natalie. Natalie, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm excited to learn more about you and power soccer that has not been on the show before. But just to begin, could you kind of give me some background on who you are and what you do?
Yeah, thank you for having me. So I'm Natalie Russo. I have been playing power soccer for let's see, like 18 years now. So um, it's been a really long time. But I play on a local team in Indianapolis called the Circle City Rollers. Um, and I'm also a member of the U.S. national team this time, and also in the 2007 Team USA.
That's awesome. You've been in it for a while, for so long.
Yeah, I have. It's crazy because it's been through so many changes since I first started. I mean, when I first started in 2003, I actually didn't want anything to do with the sport because my experience with disabled or handicapped sports were always not great because it was I'm in a power wheelchair, and so like there wasn't a lot of sports that were made for me. And anything, I think I tried challenger baseball, and it was a lot of people like helping me with the bat, and then a lot of people running in slow motion. And so I'm a very competitive person, and I knew that I wasn't playing, and it was kind of like dumbed down. So I did not have any interest in playing. And so when power soccer came around and they were talking about it, I was like, no, I'm sure that's just another dumb sport and just trying to like make you feel good. Um, so I actually didn't play when I had the opportunity, but my brother played. He's also in a wheelchair. And he's the one that had the time of his life. And so he's the one that kind of got it all started around here. And I was kind of forced to play by my mom because she's like, until we have enough people to play, you need to play and then you can quit. But then as soon as I played for the first time, I was like, I never looked back. And so it's crazy that it's been 18 years since then.
Yeah, that's awesome. I appreciate the story in the background that helps kind of understand how you got into it. But I love that it stuck after being told to do it and everybody around you was doing it.
Yeah.
Got to do it.
Yeah, so I guess I should thank my mom
Yes.
and my brother. Yeah, they've given me, I mean, this sport's given me so much. I've been all over the world, and I never would have thought that I'd be able to do that, and the sport's given that to me. So,
Definitely. That's awesome. Cool. I guess I kind of want to backtrack a little bit. Can you explain, or I guess, how would you describe power soccer to somebody who's never seen the sport, or maybe they don't know what this is?
yeah, so power soccer, we like to jokingly call it the best sport on four wheels. And so it's made for power wheelchair users. Um, and we have any type of disability, people that drive with their chins, people that can't play any other sport really. Those are the people that really work well with power soccer. And so we play 4-on-4 on a indoor basketball court. We have a little bit of a bigger ball. It's 12 inches, 14 inches. I always forget. I think it's 14. Um, and we have middle guards that we strap to the front of our wheelchairs. And that's what we use to maneuver the ball. And we do like 360s and to kick the ball. And so I would say there's nothing really to compare it to. A lot of times people do compare us to Rocket League, the video game. We get that a lot whenever we post videos online. So if you know what Rocket League is, power soccer is pretty similar in a way.
That's funny. That's a great description.
Yeah.
I love that. Cool. Well, I'm going to link a video below, the one on y'all's website that kind of explains it as well, just so people can
Yeah.
watch that as well to get
Perfect.
some more, I guess, knowledge on the rules and how it works and what it looks like too, because we can talk about it all day. But like we said before we started recording, you have to see it.
Yeah, it's nothing like, seeing in pictures like, oh, that's cool. Seeing it in video, well, like, oh, I kind of get it. But then once you see it in person, that's where it's really like, oh wow, this is really cool. So
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I had my moment last week and I was like, we're doing this on Adventures with Aggie. We have to do it.
nice.
But awesome. Well, you kind of touched on all the different things that you've done, how long you've been in the sport. Can you tell us just some of your, I guess, fondest memories with USPSA? I think you've done a lot in your years here. But yeah, I guess a bit of a story time would be nice.
Yeah, yeah. It's so hard to pick. Like, I have so many because I've been so fortunate. Being a part of the national team has given me the opportunity to go to Japan, France, Argentina, Brazil, Australia. And so, like, all of those experiences in themselves have been so unique. And, um, I've always been one, whenever I was little, I've always wanted to travel the world. And so it's really cool that I've been able to hone my skills enough to be able to get to that level where I have a sport that lets me travel the world. Um, but I'd say one of the coolest experiences was right before the pandemic happened. It was in January 2020. And I was invited out by the Australians. Um, they have a club, they were having a club tournament, and they were all allowed to bring in one um, one player from anywhere in the world if they wanted to play on their team. And they started talking to me about it like a few months before, and I I was jokingly, I was like, yeah, definitely. I didn't know if they were really serious or not, and then it started to get serious. They were like, okay, we got a sponsor, to pay for your flight and your hotel and everything. I was like, really? So literally all I have to do is just come on over and then I get to play with you guys for like a week. And so it happened. And so I've never been able to have that experience before. And it was just really cool to be like a guest player on another team in another country. And so I think that was one of my most unique and coolest experiences. That was probably the most recent. And then everything shut down after COVID happened, which has been hard. But yeah, I would say that. And then also just anytime that we get to go out and teach new kids and adults, the sport has always been really fulfilling because I know I had a little kid, I think he was probably like maybe like 6 or 7. And we were playing, teaching him how to play soccer. And he came up to me at the end and he's like, I've never had another friend in a wheelchair before. And it was just so precious and it was so cute that when like he's now has this community where he has people to look up to, um, and just that how happy it made him to see other people like him. I think he had the same disability as me, so just to see like an older version of him in a girl form was, I think, really cool for him and his parents. And so that's always like something that's been really um, important to me and my family is growing the sport so new people can see, um, how awesome and transformative the sport can be to people.
No, those are two like
really awesome memories. I'm so glad that you got your trip in right before
Oh my
everything
gosh.
happened.
I know. I was in the hotel there and they were talking about we have the first COVID case in Australia, and I didn't know anything about it at the time. I was like, oh, that's too bad for them. And then here we go, like a month later, everybody's shut down. So yeah, I'm so happy that happened.
Wow.
It did.
Yeah, no, great timing. Great timing on your part. I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but it worked out pretty well.
It
But
did.
awesome. And you kind of you read my mind here with talking about the story with the little boy. I was going to ask you just about your experience with helping train other athletes in the sport. I think you've been done that in Argentina as well, in different places around the world.
Yeah.
But yeah, can you just kind of tell us about training, whether they're like we said before, young or older athletes that are learning the sport?
Yeah. Yeah, so we did go to Argentina to help them with the training. We did coaches training and player training. And they've actually really excelled. So they're going to be one of the up and coming teams. It's going to be one of the hard ones to beat here very soon, I'm sure. And then and also in Australia, we also helped get those teams started as well. And it's really cool to be able to share the sport. We do different drills. We kind of show them. We'll bring like plastic guards that can fit to most chairs. Although a lot of chairs nowadays they're so different, so it's kind of hard sometimes. But um, that way we'll have something so that they can at least test out hitting the ball around. Um, so we did different drills and teach them really basic skills, and then play a game with them for a while. And so it's always cool to see like their faces light up. And um, we actually had a clinic yesterday, and there was a kid there that was really so unsure about it. He was afraid of getting hurt. He didn't want to play. He was sitting on the sidelines for a while. We kept coaxing him to come out to play, and so finally he came out. And at the end of the day, he was like zipping by everybody, scoring goals. And so um, those are the kind of kids where it's like, you don't know what their experience has been before that, where maybe they don't feel like they can fit in or they can play a sport. And so you just want to make them feel welcome and like they can play. And so that's always like one of the best parts to see. Um, and, everybody's so thankful and so happy that, they get to play a sport now. So
That's super awesome to watch him come out of his shell, like in that moment at that clinic. I
yeah,
think that's awesome that that's kind of not what the sport is made to do, but it's cool that those kinds of stories happen.
yeah. And it's such a short time frame.
Yeah,
So like, playing him playing for a whole season and getting to play games and then be a part of this community, there's no telling where he's going to go from there.
definitely. Awesome. So kind of, I guess, going off of this story, we're talking about people kind of learning about themselves and their ability and how they can play, which is super exciting. What have you learned about yourself since your time with USPSA and playing the sport?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think a lot. Growing up, like we didn't have a lot of other friends in wheelchairs that were older than us, especially, and so we didn't really think about it too much at the time. But going to college, driving a car, having a boyfriend or a girlfriend in my brother's case, just different things that normal people do that we hadn't really gotten to yet. We were still kind of young, but um, having those role models growing up, knowing, like, oh, I can go to college, I can go live on my own, I can drive a car, I can have a fulfilling life, have a family. And so I think in that regard, power soccer has opened that up for us. Just having those mentors all around us. But then I think on the other end too, I being on Team USA for so many years, I learned a lot about myself on those teams because, it just takes a lot of mental strength in a way, I guess, to really keep focused and to keep positive when, you know, it's a lot of competition. And so I was on the 2007 team, but I was cut as an alternate right before we went. So I wasn't able to play in the World Cup. So I had to go sit in the stands, which was hard after training for the same amount of time as everybody else. But they're only allowed to have 8 players on the team. And so I understood, at the time it was like, it is what it is. And so I moved on. And then the next team, the 2011 team, I tried out again. But this time I didn't make the team at all. And so that was a really hard pill for me to swallow. My brother made the team. And so I was really happy for him. But then just like not being able to be a part of that whole experience again was really hard. And so when it came around for the next World Cup team, I wasn't really too excited about trying out again because I've had a lot of challenges, I guess, setbacks where I didn't get to make where I wanted to go. But, I ultimately decided that, if there's no use in like not trying to do something, like then you're definitely not going to make it. And so I did end up making the 2017 Team USA and I made the top 8. And so I was able to actually play in my first World Cup in that tournament. So I think I learned a lot about my just the mental side of everything. And it's still something that I think I work on. I think a lot of athletes have that challenge of keeping your mentality up and focused and positive. But that's one of the biggest things I've learned like about myself internally, I guess.
Yeah, building that mental toughness. I don't know if that's what that's not the technical term for it, but I think that's a thing.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what
Yeah, for sure. So I guess tell us about that World Cup in 2017. How was that? Favorite things, favorite moments?
Yeah, it was great. It was so unfortunately we ended up getting second place in that one. We won our first 2 World Cups. And then we came into the championship game and we had lost to France. So that was kind of hard to deal with when we were on our home soil. But we've always gone back and forth with France in all of the World Cups. And so they were ready to beat us for sure. But I mean, it was just such an awesome experience to be able to play all those different countries and play for your country, hearing the national anthem at the beginning and just all the fans that come out to support you and watch you play. There's just really nothing like it. And it's such a adrenaline rush to be able to just step out onto the court and focus. And like, it's crazy because we trained for like 2 years, 2.5. And so it all comes down to those 6 games that we play. And it's like, it's just crazy. It goes so fast, but it's so fun to like meet all of those other athletes from all over the world and off of the court, get to congregate and make friends and then on the court, serious, we're opponents and enemies, not enemies, you know what I mean? But Yeah, so that's always so fun.
Yeah, I love it. That's so exciting too. And that's true. I think we, I guess as a fan, we would only see the focus on the court. This is what's happening now. But I'm
Yeah.
sure the whole environment and experience of seeing everybody from all over the world to
Mhm.
come together for this event has to be so cool, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, it really is. And it's such a feat, getting power soccer. Most people have two wheelchairs. They have their power wheelchair their regular wheelchair, and then their game chair. And so just seeing that many wheelchairs coming in and out and trying to coordinate all that is just really cool. But it's just having the sport that, a lot of people speak different languages, but just on the court, everybody knows what's going on. We're all playing the same game that we love. And so I love that sports can do that.
Yes, I know soccer or a football, if you'd like to call it that, is
Yeah.
the universal sport, right? Like everybody
Yeah.
knows something about soccer, football. I think, I mean, I played it for one season. I was very, very bad at soccer, but I still did play it. And I feel like everybody kind of has like some kind of experience with that sport
Yeah.
because it is, even in the US, it's not like the biggest thing, but everybody probably has kicked a soccer ball once or
Yeah.
something.
I feel like it's definitely something every kid does in elementary school at some point.
Yes, definitely. That was when I did it, and that was also when I quit, but it
Yes.
was still fun.
Yeah. That's all that matters.
Yes, definitely. Awesome. Cool. Well, just a few more questions for you. I guess I'm not sure what the current situation is with COVID and power soccer, but I guess what are you working towards now? What is the organization working on?
Yeah, so right now, we've been off since I think like March last year with COVID. And so we are finally planning to go back September 1st, and since unless something drastic changes. But the regular season for power soccer is September through June. And so we would be off right now anyway. But we're planning on starting the season back September 1st. So hopefully we can get through a whole season this year, because I know so many people miss it. But Team USA has been training since April this year. And so we have individual drills that we have to do on our own every other week. And then every other month, we come together as a group and we do 3-day training camps. So we really packed a lot in this year since we missed most of last year. Our World Cup was supposed to be October of this year, but since everything happened, they moved it to next year. And so we were really trying to figure out, like, we don't want to miss all this time of training. And so we've just been kind of doing it safely on our own, since there's not quite as many people as the entire United States. So we can quarantine off a little bit better. But yeah, so right now, Team USA has been training for the World Cup, which is next year in Australia. So we're really excited for that.
Australia. That's the theme. The thing of
I know. It has been lately, it seems like.
I love it. Awesome. Two more for you. How can people get involved with USPSA?
Yeah, so I think the easiest way to get involved would probably be to go to our website and see, one, if there is a team in your area. We have them listed on there. And so if there is a team in your area, it'd be good to contact them directly. If you can't seem to get in touch with them, you can always contact us at the USPSA. There's a contact form on there, and we can try and help you get in contact with the right people. And then if there's not a team in your area, it would still be a good idea to contact us and let us know where you're at, because there might be other people in your area that want to also get involved or play. And so we once we can get something organized in that area, we can go out there and do a clinic and show people how to play and that kind of stuff and help them get a team started. So website is probably best way to get in contact. There's a lot of information on there.
Awesome. I'll link it to below
Perfect.
and in the caption on Spotify and things like that. But last question for you. This is the question that I end all of my shows with.
Okay.
What advice would you give to younger Natalie?
Oh, geez. That's a really good question. I think I've always like had a problem with or struggled with like letting go of things. And so I think one thing I just would say would be like just move on, like say yes and live in the now, look to the future. I think that's something that I am still trying to do, but I think I've learned more now. Like if I had just like not worried about some stuff so much, then it wouldn't have been such a big deal, And so I think, I think that's a pretty general one, but
I think that's great. That's great. I love ending the show with this question too, because hopefully they're like, oh yes, like be in the now, like think about the future. And they end the show and then they go off and do it, right?
Yeah,
But
that is true.
yeah, awesome. Great advice. I think younger Natalie would appreciate it. But I appreciate you coming on the show and sharing your story and giving us a background on power soccer as a sport. Because like I said, this will be the first time that this sport has been on the show, and I've done over 120 episodes, so I'm not sure how I hadn't had the sport on the show yet, but I'm so excited to do
Here
this.
now.
Yes. But thank you so much for your time, and I can't wait to put it out there.
Thank you.
Natalie, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your story. Stay tuned for another episode featuring the Us Psa on Adventures with Aggie.